Although the family owned slaves, it's not known exactly what Eliza's beliefs on slavery were. It is known, though, that she treated all her servants like part of the family, both the white servants and the black slaves. She didn't treat them as inferiors. They all were part of her family. She was considered a very kind, private, virtuous woman, very modest and generous. Since traveling was difficult for Eliza, she only visited Washington one time before her husband became president. She was not in Washington when he was vice president, but she moved to the White House after he took the office. She didn't really enjoy living in the White House, but what she did like was the fact that her whole family got to live there. Their children, who were still with them at that time, lived in the White House, as did grandchildren, who were the offspring of their daughter Mary, and she loved having all her children and grandchildren there with her. By that point, she was basically an invalid, and she chose a room for herself upstairs, which was right across from the president's office, so that she could be near him. Because of her difficult physical health by this point, she didn't host many public events, but she focused instead on being the helpmate to her husband. That she still could do. She still was able to serve in that role of caring for him. She would prepare his clothes and have them pressed and laid out for him. She made sure that he was getting the right food, and, as I mentioned, she would go over the newspaper clippings with him. While he was facing his impeachment trial, she was his closest ally, and she advised him on how to defend himself as he would go before the Senate. When she heard the news that her husband had been acquitted, she joyously proclaimed, "I knew he would be acquitted. I knew it." She did serve as the hostess of 2 public events during her time as First Lady. One of them was a reception for a visiting royal, Emma, from Hawaii. At both these occasions, she didn't rise to greet people who would come over to her, largely because, as she declared, "My dears, I am an invalid." She really wasn't able to get around much, but she was regarded as a very charming lady by all those who met her. Because of this, their daughter, Martha, served as the hostess and the more acting First Lady. She opened the White House, oversaw the prudent redecorating of it, using a very modest budget to do so. She was married to David Patterson, who became a senator, taking over his father-in-law's old seat in the Senate in 1866. As Mrs. Patterson, she was a very charming hostess and considered gracious, prudent, but very modest by all. Because she came from a simple life in Tennessee, she was very simple in the clothing she would wear, and choosing a very democratic, Greek-inspired fashions, often with high necklines with ruffles and long, simpler gowns, in contrast to the huge hoop skirts which had been popular and favored by her predecessor, Mary Lincoln. One ornament which she would enjoy was sometimes wearing flowers in her hair or headbands with some little curls.